The P2712V is a new gaming monitor from Titan Army. It's a dual-mode 4K 160Hz and 1080p 320Hz fast IPS panel. It's coming in at a lower price point than the competition though, so how does it perform, and is it worth choosing to save some money? Titan Army sent this one over for me to review, so let's check it out. The exterior design is pretty straightforward. It has slim bezels and a fairly small chin with minimal branding. There's just a logo in the center and some buttons for the OSD menu. The base of the stand is compact and rectangular, with a fairly subtle carbon fiber-ish texture or pattern around the outside. The P2712V has height and tilt adjustment, and you can rotate it 90 degrees into portrait mode. It even has some RGB lighting on the back to let you know that it's a gaming monitor, and that can be controlled via the OSD menu. As far as inputs go, you get two DisplayPort 1.4, two HDMI 2.1, and a 3.5mm audio out jack. The panel itself is pretty good for an IPS gaming monitor. You get almost total coverage of sRGB, DCI-P3, and Adobe color gamuts, and the contrast ratio is right around 1000:1, which is typical for an IPS monitor without backlight dimming. It's rated for 350 nits of brightness in SDR and 400 in HDR. This technically is an HDR monitor and you can enable it in Windows, but without any sort of backlight dimming, I would really recommend just leaving it in SDR mode all the time. That said, games and videos can look pretty dang good on it in SDR. For a nice punchy picture, I went into the OSD menu and set it for the RTS RPG mode, then went over to custom, and I have the brightness set at 90, contrast to 50, color temperature warm, gamma 2.2, color enhancement level 2, CR enhancement, which I think is contrast ratio enhancement, set to level 2, and shadow balance on 50. These settings may not be the most color accurate, but they will definitely make your games and media pop on the screen, and I think that's what most people want on their gaming monitor. If you're trying to do color accurate work, the pre-calibrated modes like the DCI-P3 or sRGB mode are pretty decent out of the box. The crisp and clean text rendering on this IPS also stood out to me as someone who's gotten used to daily driving an OLED monitor. If you do a lot of coding, reading, and productivity work on your screen, an IPS traditional monitor is still a really competitive choice. Not only because of the text legibility, but also because you don't have to worry about burn-in. This is a dual mode monitor and the higher refresh 1080p mode works really well. You enable it in the OSD under Game Plus AI Dual Mode. 1080p is a much lower resolution than 4K, but I can tell you that out of experience, it works better on this 27-inch screen size than it does on my 32. You do notice some jagginess and aliasing, but it's a lot less noticeable than blowing it up on a bigger panel. I'm not sure how to best show off the motion clarity of 320 Hz on YouTube, but I went ahead and loaded up Fortnite here on my 9800X3D 4090 rig, and I locked it to 320 FPS, and then I got killed and spectated a match so it would just be running, and then I handheld recorded with my phone some 240 frame per second video, so I'll put that here. And even though it's not perfect or scientific, this should give you some sort of idea about what kind of visual information you can get when you're running at such high refresh rates. Overall, I think this Titan Army P2712V is actually a pretty decent value for the price point. The design isn't too over the top or gamery, and it has good color accuracy paired with pretty quick response times for an IPS. The 4K 160Hz mode is a good fit for AAA gaming, general computing, and productivity work, while the 320Hz 1080p mode is great for esports titles. That's a pretty solid feature set for a monitor that's $300 to $350. What do you think about dual mode gaming monitors, and would you consider giving one like this a shot? Let me know down in the comments below. Shout out to Titan Army for sending over this monitor, and thanks to you for watching along. Make sure to drop a comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.